Zane Callister, one of the greats. He's a dad, a music producer, an artist, a writer, a Chiefs enthusiast, and a generous man. Gave me these shoes. These videos are, of course, brought to you by Sweetwater. Thank you, Sweetwater, for sponsoring the videos. I actually link all of the gear that I use in my studio, as well as some of the gems that I find in these studio tours down in the description. So if you're ever curious, you can just look down below that like button and you can find the piece of gear that you're looking for in a link that takes you right to it on Sweetwater. They're affiliate links, so if you happen to pick anything up, that's an easy way to support my channel and the work that I do with these videos, as well as Sweetwater loves it, and hopefully you find what you're looking for. Something I think about all the time is what I'm going to be doing with my studio long term, how I want it to function, and what's going to give me the best results, as well as the smoothest operation. Because of this tour with Zane and everyone out there, they all had these summing boxes and summing mixers ranging from Dangerous Audio to SSL to Shadow Hills. I know Neve makes some. I'm very interested now. So if you happen to use one and you have any advice for me, let me know down in the comments. Gonna be wanting to pick one up soon. Thank you, Sweetwater, for sponsoring this video. Zane Callister has a bunch of really great music projects. I already mentioned Utah. I use them all the time. They make amazing music, but Zane also has a handful of other projects. I'm gonna link all of his stuff down in the description so you can go follow him and check out his stuff. Very talented dudes. Thank you to everyone out at JTL for inviting me. If you've ever wanted these videos to go a little bit deeper into how people record in their studio, or some of the work they do, or some of the cool tricks that they use in the studio, go check out my membership at ANDREWMASTERSmusic.com, because that's where I put the bonus segments from these videos. I don't want them to go too long, and sometimes there's issues of stuff that I can't put on YouTube. So you can go check those videos out if you want to see over at ANDREWMASTERSmusic.com when you become a member. Thank you to everyone who invited me out there. Thank you to Sweetwater for sponsoring this video. Let's go check out Zane's room.
Here we are.
This is nice. Thank you for having me, first off.
Oh, dude, thanks for being here, man.
Fun fact for anyone watching this, Zane makes music with his friend Jared, and I use them in literally every video. So you guys can thank him for making those sweet chill beats. And Jared. It's made by Utah.
Just Utah, but just Instagram, Utah. Social media is made by Utah.
All right, dude.
Dude, welcome.
Nice setup. How long have you been in here?
The original building has been here with Jared. Jared opened it, probably need to check on this, I think like 9 years ago. I've been here in this facility working out of a room in some capacity since 2015. And then we got this awesome opportunity to add on. The landlord is awesome, he's a great guy. He actually, the other renters are JHS Pedals. So if you're familiar with the pedal company, they needed space, we needed space. He was like, what if I built you guys maybe like 4,500 or maybe 5,000 more square feet?
Holy cow.
We don't occupy all of that.
Yeah.
If you could walk through this, on the other side is part of JHS's property.
That's awesome.
So, all that being said, this got finished in fall of 2019.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
How are you liking it?
I love it so much.
Yeah.
Like probably half of your viewers or more, like I grew up in bedroom studios, and it's blessed to meet Jared. One of my friends, Danny, was like, gotta come to this studio in Grandview, and if you know, you live in Kansas City, you're like, whoa, that's like South Kansas City, like what's down there? I can't remember why, but I finally did, and I walked in the front door, and I was like, whoa, this is amazing.
This is rad. Do you know how big this specific room is?
Not including my booth is like 218 square feet.
Wow, it's nice in here. You know what helps? There's no drum set in the room.
Yeah.
That helps, I think.
Yeah, I actually have zero design sense for a living space. Thank God my wife knows what she's doing. She's great. She like helped me pick out like paint swatches and plants, which I have to confess, I'm on my second round of plants.
Oh, okay.
I have killed every single one of them. And as you can see, I'm well on my way to killing this set. So,
big synth man.
I really like them. I would not say I'm like a synth expert, but it's like how people who can't cook really well still love to eat. It's how I feel about synthesizers. Yeah, so the Matrix 6 I picked up last year, I've got like a tech, his name's Will, and I joke that if he quits, I quit. He's a absolute genius, and he fixes all of our stuff. So I found a guy on a Facebook Marketplace in another state who was like, yeah, this thing doesn't work, and I don't know why. And I was like, I bet Will would know.
Yeah.
So I picked it up. It is honestly extremely complicated to use. I have a patch program that I use within my computer that runs MIDI, and I can change patches way easier. It's like
cool.
Because honestly, this is a nightmare. This was a bad design on Oberheim's part, even though they are brilliant. That was just, that one was a bad look on their part.
Short-sighted.
This synthesizer, Juno 60, I feel like anybody watching probably knows what that is. So this is my pride and joy. There's two things that I would never sell that I own. There's only two. One of them is this. And so I bought that in 2016. And thankfully, Stranger Things hadn't come out yet. So it didn't cost me an arm and a leg. It's been really good to me. I use it all the time. I'm also not afraid to just use VST versions of it because people have gotten really good at emulating them. So the grandmother, I had the matriarch for 4 weeks. I had a friend be like, listen, you gotta get this thing. And it's 4-voice, polyphonic, and I got it, and I was like, I am not intelligent enough to use this thing. This is
the big one, right?
Oh yeah, it's just madness. And so, but I love the sounds it was making, and so I picked this up, and I'm obsessed with it. I feel like if you want the Moog sound, but you can't obviously get into like the mini Moog price range or whatever, this thing is it. It's amazing.
It's like a 1,200 or something?
Yeah, oh no, this is, I think it's like $900 or something.
And then this Behringer thing here, is this like a mini
Moog?
Moog?
This week, yes. So there's a lot of Behringer haters, and I get it. Like, you know, people will be like, oh, they're just ripping stuff off, but I have a friend who builds a lot of stuff, and he said, you'd be surprised what you'll open up and realize it's like a Behringer bucket brigader chip or something. They'll be like, oh yeah, it's Behringer chips in like high-end gear that we like.
Yeah.
I found this on Marketplace. I was like, I'm gonna pick this up. I love Tycho, and he always does crazy stuff with it. So I have like a pedal board I use for my synthesizers and mixing and stuff, and so I have that patched right now to be using this, which is a really nice time.
So it's an insert from your interface.
Pro Tools. Yeah, so I patch it out 27, 28 out of my Antelope Orion, and
goes through the insert radials,
which they've since made a stereo version, which I'm gonna go ahead and just buy that.
I tried to find that.
It's on Sweetwater.
I know.
It's on Sweetwater. I need to just go get it.
I'm gonna find it and link in the description for you guys.
Yeah, please, because if you are synth guy, guitar guy, or girl,
or mixer,
or mix guy or girl, you know, either this is a great tool. And you have 2 effects loop, which is great, because if you have a chain that you really, really like, but let's say you have like a helix and you want to A/B it or something, like you can be able to switch that. But the headache of it is it's not stereo, so matching them is a nightmare.
And then what are these things underneath it here?
So I'm a guitar player. I mean, like I'm not like a session guy, but that's my instrument I'm most comfortable with. So I've just found a few things that I really, really enjoy guitar-wise, and have tested them all out on synths. So Mr. Black is great, very much Juno chorus. The Tape X2 is your go-to tape echo. It has this really cool, I actually have it unplugged, story about this. This unit, when I got it, you won't be able to hear this on the video, but you will be able to hear it.
I'll hear it.
Listen for it.
Oh.
Is that not crazy? I don't get it. So I actually leave it unplugged when I'm not
it's terrible.
using it. But I love this pedal. It doesn't do anything recording wise. It doesn't record that 12K. Holy crap. Sure. It's probably more higher than that. It's probably like 15. Yeah, but that's a great pedal, but it has this really wonderful damaged option to be like really
clean and pristine.
Just the opposite of that, actually. Slate and the Stereo Wet, Nunebird, this is just one of their cool pedals that can be.
This is called Slate?
Yeah, it can be anything. It's like, it can be their chorus, reverb, delay, and it's.
What?
Yeah, and so you have like this Ethernet. I'm using this to run this Stereo Wet to be I think this white is a reverb, blue is a delay, green is, I can't remember how it's set. Oh, that was cool, whatever that was. Yeah, so on this, I have the preset ability or whatever. They can be any of their pedals. It's kind of fascinating.
Yeah, I'm still not totally understanding it, but I think I get the concept.
Yeah, so we're like, this is just a tape delay. But it's bizarre because the Stereo Wet is a reverb, but I can technically turn it into a delay or a chorus or something like that. So that's what all this is. But this is a Slate, which they originally designed to be everything.
Okay.
So this is Adam Smigowski's. He's in the room next door. The other thing you'll realize is we all share a lot of gear at in the studio that I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I probably have like mics in someone else's room. I know I have guitars. I definitely have stuff of other people's. It makes for a really nice community of producers and stuff. Do you want me to go over my notebook? Were you curious about what I use that for?
Yeah,
I have a pen here that I'll just like write stuff down. It's like pretty. This is the most analog piece of gear I own. It's not set up this way currently. I have a few pieces of gear getting fixed right now, so stuff is gonna get shifted around. I treat this as my mix chain. So mix chain right in front of me. I'm not like a die-hard mix engineer, but I do mix all of my stuff.
Burl B32.
Amazing.
That's
summing
your
mixer.
Summing mixer.
3232, all DB25 that communicates really nicely with my Antelope Orion. I also have a bunch of stuff patched. So I have 8 channels patchable from the Orion to patch in or wherever I want to go, which is how I patch out of my last 8 channels on my 32 to like patch this into my synthesizers, or if I want to mix with it or whatever.
Right.
So I really only ever use like 16, maybe 20 channels of it. It has 8 dedicated mono,
wow,
which is a lot of mono for me.
Yeah.
Probably for not like a really hardcore mix engineer who lives in that space more.
Yeah.
It's a bit much for me, but the nice thing with Antelope is I can go in and change outputs to be wherever I want. I can take 2 of those mono and make them out, 27, 28. So that they're not bunched right next to each other, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
So they're great. And so, yeah, this Silver Bullet, it doesn't make the cutoff of pieces of gear I would absolutely never, ever part with, but it's really close. It'd be like 3rd place.
And that's louder than Liftoff.
They're amazing. Oh my gosh.
What does this do?
So I like to think of it as just like a Swiss Army knife. It has active in and out that you can change at any time. So it has 2 mix ins and a mix out. It has a track in and a track out, and it has a line level in that utilizes the track out. So think about it like this. It's like it has a patch bay built into it. So I'm currently on the mix. I almost never leave that because I don't track with it a whole lot. I would if I needed to, but it lives in my mix chain. Without having to patch stuff, I can switch here and it's now reading the track inputs and the track outputs. If I go here, mic line, it reads the mic ins, mine outs, and then it's the mic plus, I believe, is what reads line level. I might be wrong about that, but I've got, polarity, phantom power, it's stereo. You have a Neve section and an API section in which you can switch to, you can turn it on or off, and then you have your API, your Neve, you can see like the LED switching, but then you can feed them, which is what I do quite a bit, and I live in that space mostly. Currently, for what I've been working on, the Neve and the API is.
So you track through that?
I don't track through it very much. I use it for my mix. My mix is more than anything.
So your output 1, 2 from Pro Tools is going through out of the converters into the Silver Bullet.
So I actually go into my patch bay. I break my patch here to here.
Okay.
So I'm going out of this into patch bay. But this has its own dedicated inputs for that. If I want to track with it, it's patchable down here, and all I have to do is switch to here. It's now sending that signal. It's receiving from the track inputs and sending out the track outputs. When I go to here, it's receiving the mix inputs, going out the mix outputs, which is pretty great. Which then goes to the Audioscape G-Bus, which I think
is patched in.
Which is hard. It's patching, but I can break the patch here to here, which is really nice. If I wanted to put these, spec, it's like SSL style EQs. They're great, they're awesome, but sometimes if like the mix needs a little bit of extra love, I do that, but outside that, I never really patch it. I just knew that with all the amazing gear that comes out, there was gonna come a day where I was like, I want to break that chain.
And then above that, you have 2 preamps.
I do, the Chandler Germaniums. They're awesome on guitars. I love those things. They're a little bit like overwhelming that they have their own big old freaking power supply. So
that usually means they're really good.
That's what I've always interpreted it as. Yeah, they're great. They're awesome. They do the gain thing really well. They're tons of character, and I'm one of those people that I like preamps. I really like preamps, but I just don't believe that 2 channels in the grand scheme of 60 to 100 is gonna make that huge of a difference. So I'm more or less, I'm like, what sounds good on what? Like if these sound good on kick drums, they sound good on overheads, but I like them on guitars, that's why I bought them. But at the same time, I think the Burls right here, those ones have the nickel transformer, and I'm sure the steel sounds good too. You know, to me, it doesn't make a huge bit of difference, but they kind of occupy a similar space for me sonically, where, you know, like the Cappy stuff, you really get out of that world. And then obviously SSL, the unfortunate SSL, you get out of that world. Definitely get out of that world.
Okay, so you've got the burls over there. You've got the specs, which are just EQs.
Just EQs, yep.
Next to that is a, what is that?
That's the LA500 JLM. Yep, JLM. That's great. Little opto compressor, mono opto compressor. And then the OPT1 is next to that. That is the, I think the precursor to the Brute inward connections made. It's a pretty, the Brute's supposed to be like amazing. In fact, when I bought it, I thought it was a Brute, but it's not, but sounds really good.
And then you got these Cappies.
Yeah, so the one on the left is VP28, the 426 or 526 or 527. It's
Compressor?
It's like an 1176, but it's also not like an 1176. It's got a ton more character in my opinion.
And then SSL, these, the 4-channel
yeah, the XL desk stuff. The variable harmonic drive, that VHD knob there in the middle is really, really great. Cut a lot of vocals with that. Guy who's got like a raspy voice, whose record I was doing, and that VHD on the rasp was nice.
And then probably, I don't know, you'd say it the best for last down here. You have this Alesis line mixer.
My Alesis line mixer. Look, man, it works, dude, and it's great.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It has its own stereo effects loop in it.
And then right above the Orion is the Universal Audio
2192.
Master. Is that being used?
That's my converter. That's my A to D and D to A. So
you're not using the converters of the Orion?
I'm not, but I might switch.
Have you A-B'd them?
I've not A-B'd them yet. Well, all of my A to D for my tracking is the Orion, so I am A to D there.
Right.
But my D to A out to those guys is 2192.
Okay.
And my mix return A to D is 2192.
So are you breaking stuff out in Pro Tools through the summing mixer?
So like I have 16 stereo, and you'll see it breaks here, which I have Master 9 mono, and then I go back to my stereos. Also, the way I have my setup, Orion doesn't have headphone out, so I have to have this Samson that's pretty ugly, but it works really well. I have this running to my other headphone unit for my ISO, which we'll go in there later, but anyway, all that being said, that's 29 and 30, and then 31 and 32 I use always for pads. 27, 28 is where I break, and I can just have all the sauce, all the fun stuff.
All right, so you got a bunch of masters. How do you not have a fader thing?
I've thought about that. In your videos about it, it does make me think.
One. It's so good.
I know, it looks amazing. I have another friend. My friend Tony uses it and really likes it. I've considered it, but I think it would send me into the world where I would have to officially mix more.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't?
Trust me.
Okay, I trust you. You are the master.
I got it and started mixing less. All right, hey, so speakers. Tell me about these, because
Core 59s.
They're beautiful.
I'm such a fan. Diane's been doing it for a while. We had a moment in Studio A where we had a tweeter go out of some Twin 6Bs. So we had to send them off, and we needed speakers for I think we were doing like a live record or something. So our buddy at Sweetwater.
Shout out Sweetwater.
Woo! Yeah, he was like, you've got to try these LYD 48s, which is not what I have. They're great.
Yeah.
And it's a 3-way. I want to say you could get a pair for $2,400 or something. We got them in A, and we, remember we were on Focal Twin 6Bs, great monitor. And we were like, these are, I'm not kidding you, these are as good.
Yeah.
There maybe is a little bit in the mid-range that you kind of miss, but you're like, I also saved $2,000. That opened my eyes to Dine, and I ended up, when this space got built, so I got PMC 226s, which I loved. They were amazing. They're kind of like ATC, they're super truth-telling monitors, but I was missing some of the low end that I need to write, the stuff that I write for Utah and a couple other of my projects. That information for production wasn't there. So I sold those. In 1 month, I had Barefoot MM35s, which was like the speaker I wanted my whole production life.
Okay.
I had Focal SM9s, and I had these, and I shot them out for a month, and these overwhelmingly dominated.
Yeah.
The SM9s were fine, but it was they almost watered down the sound, and it was making it sound better, but every time I'd go listen to my mixes other places, I was like, this doesn't sound good. The
That's
Barefoots the low end information was unbelievable.
Yeah.
The detail at like 200 hertz was just shocking. But these are amazing. I think these are like $6,000 new.
Okay.
Which
wow.
for a three-way,
big
a big three-way.
These are midfields.
Yeah, these are midfields. In fact, I have a friend that builds studios, and he told me not to get these. He thought they'd be too big for this room.
Yeah.
And I said, there's no such thing. They honestly sound really, really good. And the DSP is really nice because it's all just dip switches. So you're not dealing with like 0.01 increments of like, am I boosting my bass? Am I screwing this all up? You don't have to be some crazy like audio genius to mess with them. I'm like, well, they're kind of on the wall. Do I put them on the wall setting? We'll see if it sounds good. So I just did that for a couple days.
Interesting. Explain the music that you're doing.
Yeah, so I live kind of two lives. I live in the, what I would call like the commercial space of music for film and television. And then I live in the like artist production space. So I produce for artists, and I have artists that I'm technically a part of that I produce for. So Utah being one of them. I have a project called The Invention of Flight, a project called People Just Pretending, and a project called Wonder Club, and a project called Young Collective. So those are all me in some capacity.
And Music Bed.
Yeah, Music Bed's the best. I think I'm wearing a Music Bed t-shirt.
Boom.
Oh my gosh, swipe up.
You got a couple other things over there. What's that? Is this old school Casio thing?
Yeah,
or?
it's like a fun little sampling keyboard that my daughter, who's 2.5, is a pretty big fan of. It's dead right now because she literally leaves it on every time she comes here.
Oh, that's a problem.
I need to get batteries, but it's kind of cool because it's got this little sampling mic, which sounds really bad. And then, you know, you just hold this down, you're like, Andrew, and then it's like, Andrew. This is my C-board. I have a blast with this. One of my projects that I mentioned to you earlier, it's called Young Collective, and it's very much just like super chill, ambient, peaceful music that is kind of a passion project for me. But that is like the...
And is that wireless?
It's wireless, but it's MPE, which I think stands for multi-polyphonic expression. You're gonna have to fact check that.
And then you're using Pro Tools?
I am.
Is this a laptop?
It is. So I keep my laptop over there to the left. If we can figure out what gets the M1X chip, I'm considering maybe switching to like a Mac Mini or something. Yeah. I travel a decent amount to work. And so I think maybe I just have to stay laptop, so we'll see. Okay,
so that is a...
Late 2017.
MacBook Pro?
15-inch.
15-inch, okay.
Yeah, it's a great computer. It's been really good to me. It has a touch bar that never gets used because it's always closed.
Okay, and then this is just for me. This computer monitor is really nice.
It's
is that 30?
It's 34.
34.
So my wife, my now wife, when we were dating, she was like, "What do you want for Christmas?" And I was like, "I think I want a computer monitor." I sent her like a really cheap, a much cheaper one.
Look how thin it is.
It's great, but this is pretty old. This is like almost 7 years old. I lucked out, and her and my family like bought me a screen years ago. Let's go check out the booth, dude. This is my ISO. It's always really cold in here, which is really nice.
Gosh, listen to the difference immediately.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But here, let me close this and you'll get a different feel. So, I don't know if you can hear me on my lab. A little more live. I wanted it that way. Yep. So that then over here, it's a lot more dead.
Super controlled.
But I didn't want it to be completely dead because that just is a problem sometimes. So when I set up vocalists, I usually set them facing the whisper wall. Okay. About a foot away and right between here. So you get just a little bit of the sound of the room. I saw this on Pinterest and I thought, I'm gonna do that. But it was at a coffee shop. I was like, that would work great for an ISO.
This is very inspiring acoustic design.
Yeah,
so you have the panels.
So whisper wall, 3 inches of safe and sound here, and then 3 inches of safe and sound on that one.
And very well done.
Thank you very much.
Looks beautiful. And then up on top of the whisper wall, we have these big long panels.
Fun fact about those, I made them to be removable.
Yes.
Because you just never know if like I needed to do something in another room that we were like, we need some big panels. It's like, I technically have access to that.
And then up here, you have this like little piece of trim that holds them for support, where you can kind of slide it out, right?
Yeah, I slide them out.
And then you have a nice window with more plants. They're not dead yet?
Nah, they're pretty dead. To be completely honest, they're pretty dead. It's like they're
I was like, oh, that's a cool brown plant.
Yeah, it's like fall. The leaves have changed, but it changed in March. Yeah, it's not good.
All right, so tell me about these amps.
Yeah, so Marshall 62 Blues Breaker reissue is actually the first tube amp I got when I was 14, and I sold it to buy some like high gain amp for a hardcore band, and
Sick.
super regretted it. But I had a client that wanted to do some work, and they were like, I have this amp, and I was like, yes, I will take it right now. So
That's awesome.
Morgan RCA 35, nice little Fender style amp. Morgan does a great job. My favorite amp, the one I pretty much use exclusively, is this Benson Monarch, and it's amazing because it's custom made for me to look like PV, which I think is hilarious, which really represents me as a person. KSM 27 or 32 on that. Those are a great line of mics. All the KSMs are great. My main vocal mic is this Loughton FG357. I dance back and forth between that and a tube Mojave MA200. I don't have like a huge mic locker, just like some, I have these, and then there's like, I think there's like a SM7 that belongs to somebody, and another KSM.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it's just, just a junk drawer of cables and stuff that you can basically just hide from everybody. But yeah, I really like both of those. They're great. Great mics. They're workhorses. You can use them on pretty much everything. So
vocals, guitars, probably acoustic if
a lot
if
of
you
acoustic in here.
And then do you reamp any of the key stuff out here ever?
I don't ever reamp any of the key stuff, but it's a great idea. The way I have it set up, I have access to all that. I have a.
What about beats or anything like that?
Do you
reamp through amps?
No, but I should. After talking to you, I was like, I should set something up to do that with.
Well, you have it set up. You just gotta.
Yeah. All my sends are hooked up so that I do have access to do that. But yeah, bro, just get into the beats. My biggest fear was being known as someone who made beats, just so everybody knows.
Let's see who can come up with the best dig in the comments.
They're gonna be like, well, this guy looks like he farms beats. Yeah. Dwight Schrute over here.
Yeah, and a nice window too. So well kept that I knocked my head on it.
Oh,
it was
yeah,
so
the
clean.
glass, that was great.
Where can people follow you and find your stuff? And
yeah, so socials at Stephen Zane, STEPHENZANE. That's my name.
Okay.
And then, I mean, like I said, the bands earlier. So
if you go to your Instagram, you have those all tagged.
Yeah, they're
in
all
there?
Tagged and stuff. So
sweet.
All that stuff is tagged.
Also, for anyone who makes videos or whatever, check out your stuff on MusicBed because I use all of it. It's so good.
And it's like I said, I'm in several projects that are all on there, and they cover a wide variety of kind of sonic vibes. So
thanks everybody. For watching, and we'll see you in the next video.
Thanks for coming and hanging out.
Yeah. Hey. Thank you.
I love that.